Hello and welcome back to Archaeosoup Towers in and around a very special time of year. No, not the morning after the night before that is St. Patrick's Day, although obviously St. Patrick's Day is very important, but rather a week ago on the 11th of March, Archaeosoup turned 11 years old. We're rapidly approaching the terrible teens. Ooh. But this calls for, naturally, the celebration that is tradition round here, that is the blowing of bubbles, and also the announcement of some plans that I have in the works. But first and foremost, the bubbles. Now, very good, very good. One more time. I'm always aware of getting bubble on the lens. You know, that's never a good thing. Lovely. And I think they're popping on the mic as well. One more time. Very good. Okay, bubbles have been blown. The celebration is official. And with Archaeosoup turning 11, I find myself reflecting a little bit on the past year and also wanting to develop and make plans to respond to the past year. You see, roughly a year ago, I was in full-on 10th anniversary celebration mode. I bought a cake. There were candles on the cake celebrating 10 years. And I was looking forward to a whole year of festival, really, travelling to different sites, interviewing people who I'd worked with over the past decade, and generally just enjoying 10 years of Archaeosoup and 10 years of public archaeology in that sense. But clearly things didn't quite go according to plan. Things happened. To say the least. But then around November, December, for me at least, things came slightly off the rails. I unfortunately had to deal with several things happening in very quick succession. So first of all, Mrs. Soup was hospitalised. She had to have very serious surgery, which, not going into great detail, we're coming to terms with what our options are and all this kind of thing. That'll be happening in the near future. But then our poor dog, Indy, was diagnosed with dementia, the poor guy. He went through a phase of being really extraordinarily confused. It was actually quite distressing, to be honest, to witness that. But now we've got him on a medication regime. He seems to be a bit more comfortable in himself. I think for him, seemingly what we were observing was fear of how he was feeling, not so much fear of the world around him. So with the right sort of anti-anxiety pill once a day, he seems to be much calmer, which is wonderful. A couple of other minor bits of drama here and there, but then of course my face has lit up like a Christmas tree. Ever since more or less Christmas, for the past couple of months, it's just been Eczema City, and I keep on trying different ointments and talking to different medical professionals, and essentially they don't know what causes it. They don't know quite how to, well, they definitely don't know how to cure it, and I just have to sort of live with this until it goes away and probably comes back again next winter. So that's been stressful, and then also I also had my own personal medical problems. I had to I've been on a shift of medication for bits and bobs, a chronic condition that I have to deal with. So yeah, to say the least, the end of that celebration year, the 10th year, feels as though it kind of lost pace. And to be honest, by around February, I was quite disheartened. That's the reason I took down the 10th anniversary logo, the sort of the gold star logo that I was putting on all the thumbnails for videos and also on social media. This coincided with quite a lot of very harsh criticism from horrible people, not people who regularly watch Archaeosoup, just people who parachute in, drop an F-bomb or two, and poop on your lawn and then leave. Now, of course, that's just what YouTube is and can be, but it all came at the wrong time. And also, notably, those people, they never make their own videos, I notice. If you go to their channel, they never have a video of their own. They're not creative themselves. They just like to poop in other people's pools, as it were. Oh yes, and then I'm just looking at my notes here, and there's a reason I need notes for this. YouTube admitting that they had been actively promoting pseudoscience on YouTube to the detriment of legitimate historical and educational content around that time also didn't help my morale. I was thinking, what? The platform I'm on is is actually what's the word? Not discouraged, I suppose. Incentivized to share the sort of stuff that I'm trying to talk about, or that I have talked about in the past on this channel. It all meant that I ended up pulling that 10th anniversary branding and ending that celebration very quietly, and that felt bad at the time. But also, I just wasn't up for doing anything like a big hurrah, which I had planned. I had planned a big gathering of, basically a live stream, all the people that I wanted to have there. We were going to basically have a party, and we may well still do that when I'm feeling a bit more buoyed up, a bit more energetic. So last year wasn't a total loss. We had fun. I made improvements to the office. For example, the setup for watching brief is now this really handy little pull-out desk thing, because Mrs. Soup required the desk that I used to use down here, and this is actually such a much more handy way of doing the watching brief. We tidied up around the house. The place actually feels so much better, even though I was feeling slightly flat in morale. Where I live and work feels amazing. I even put sound dampening tiles on the ceiling just to get rid of some of the echo in here. So, it definitely wasn't a loss. It was a great year. I had a great time. But I think this year is going to be a little less ambitious and hopefully a little more within my control. There are things that I want to achieve in Archaeosoup's 12th year, having just turned 11, that hopefully I can achieve, and that will help me to do Archaeosoup with renewed vigour, more regularly, and also more predictably, crucially, for you guys at home. So number one, in my sort of proposed list of things that I want to try and do this year, or implement this year, getting back to basics, picking out a site case study and enjoying the process of sharing that site on video. I've kind of lost that. I have to say, I have slightly lost the joy of just going, let's talk about Petra, this kind of thing. And that came largely from the harsh criticism. I kind of started second guessing myself, thinking, do I know enough about this site? Can I talk about this site in a way that's interesting? Do people even want to know about this stuff? I was getting lost in my own head. So I want to get back to basics, and every now and then just pick something cool and talk about it, for goodness sake. That's what Archaeosoup is about. It's where I started off, and it's what I want to reinstate on this channel. I want to develop new skills this year. For example, Blender, a wonderful 3D graphic production program, the special effects basically, is brimming with potential, taking flat maps and turning them into 3D models of mountains and this kind of thing, inserting all manner of effects into interesting shots that help to highlight the story or the narrative that I'm trying to tell, especially on site visits. I want to develop those skills, and I want to be able to offer those skills, frankly, to people who I work with as well. So that's something else I want to do this year. No more sorry, I misread that. Interesting. No more self-pressure. Actually, I read it as self-pleasure. No more self-pressure. And I think the way for me to get rid of pressure, basically, I'm not. It's strange. I never used to feel pressure when it came to especially to academic things. I was always quite fatalist, but also always quite well prepared. I often intimidated people in exams because they would be there trying to cram notes at the last second, and I'd just be there with a pencil, and they looked at me and would be like, "Dude, whoa, you must know everything." And I'd be like, "No, I don't know everything. I just don't think I can learn anything else at this point. I'm going to be tested on what I now know, what I currently know, what I can remember." But there's something in the past few years that's just worn away at me, and that is the pressure to produce, for example, interesting YouTube videos that I want to watch as much as anyone else, coupled with that harsh criticism that's just led to this sort of ticking over of a lack of confidence, I suppose, self-confidence, self-pressure. All these things have mingled together in the past year to make things difficult, and I want to try and release that a little bit by implementing the next step, and that is more structure. So less pressure, but more structure. For example, regular live streaming, actually knowing when I'm going to live stream, maybe announcing it once a week or once a month, what my schedule is, and then trying to stick to that schedule, so that I don't just set up a live stream and say, I'm going live, and people have to turn up, or they miss the whole thing. Give people a bit of notice and tell people where they can find that information. It's going to be probably on Facebook, on Twitter, and also on the community tab on this YouTube channel, that kind of thing. And part of this framework that I'm constructing inevitably involves Andy Brockman and the Watching Brief. We want to actually be more regular than simply once a month with Watching Brief. We want to be able to respond to news stories slightly more quickly instead of having to wait a few weeks and then talk about it the following month. We want to have more room to talk about media and computer games, so we're sort of siphoning off the media aspect to be slightly separate from the news stuff. We want to bring in other voices, interviews, hot takes, this kind of thing. And we want it to be more bite-sized in how we deliver it, as opposed to a big sort of whoop at the beginning of every month, or in this case in March, kind of not really happening this month because we've both been exhausted. So that's a part of what I'm currently thinking about, and what we hope to implement, not in April, but probably at the end of April, sort of in May. I want to, as part of that structure, I want to revisit what I offer on Patreon. It's a very loose offering at the moment, and it became, I sort of simplified it down because, frankly, because of that self-confidence issue, I didn't think I had much to offer in the way of tiers, extra things that people can enjoy in return for whatever level of support that they might want to offer via Patreon. And as it stands, I offer a fairly solid base for people. There's the Soup Kitchen Facebook page where people get to see stuff before it goes public. Sometimes the threshold for that preview hasn't been very much. It's been like an hour or so. But at the moment, for example, I'm currently working on a drama piece based in Morpeth. Actually, the drama takes place in Bamborough, but we filmed it in Morpeth. And people are getting to see, essentially the whole thing as it's being edited. Although you can see a little bit. Here's a highlight.
Now some say that the stepmother made a curse in that hall. In a few hours, I will this princess bring down to a low degree. I will liken her to a ladely loathsome worm that warps around the stone. And some say that she muttered it to herself, and silently to the book of her heart. And some say that she shouted it to the rafters. I don't know. But what I do know is that after the sun had gone down, sometime that night, and before the sun rose in the morning, Princess Margaret had been turned, had become a loathsome, poisonous worm.
So there's the Soup Kitchen, there's a monthly blog post that I put out. There's basically a summary of roughly what's happening in the coming month as I see it or as I plan it. But I'd like to offer a bit more, and I'm not quite sure what those offerings will be, but I think maybe, for example, a monthly or bi-monthly hangout, like just a Zoom session, hanging out, chatting with people, getting ideas for videos, becoming inspired together, answering questions. That kind of thing could be really good fun. Maybe really formalizing the relationship between Patreon tiers and, for example, stickers or badges or posters, this kind of thing. Because I've been so busy, I kind of have been relying on people to remind me if and when they want this annual badge that they have access to at the $5 tier, but no one ever does remind me, and therefore I feel bad because people aren't getting their badges. So I want to revisit that. I want to really, as it were, do it properly. Actually play the game as I see so many other people doing, and crucially as I support other people. I seem to forget that just as I'm more than happy to support someone to a chosen tier and see that creator thrive based on my enjoyment of their work, but also my patronage, I think I should embrace the fact that people will see me the same way. Again, it's all about morale, it's about self-confidence, it's about being easier on myself, because I have been hard on myself, and I think that's only got worse in the context of a global pandemic. I want to do some blue sky thinking. I have some ideas. Some of these ideas are complementary to Archaeosoup. For example, I want to do formalize painting, an aspect of my art and painting for clients and this kind of thing. But that's just part of it. I'm thinking, now that I have achieved in recent months and years, for example, being published and other personal career goals for Archaeosoup, I want to set some new bars, some new goals to reach for, and that requires an open mind, open eyes, a rejuvenated soul, and looking up, looking at the blue sky, as opposed to just trudging down, looking at the floor, going, oh, I don't know, will people like this next video? Should I do this one? Should I do that one? What should I do? And then paralyzing myself with doubt. And finally, the reason why I've needed these notes, I have to put here, I'm tired. I'm tired because of all those things that I've mentioned at the beginning. It's been a hard-hitting, certainly 6 months, if not obviously the year for everyone. Everyone's tired because of what's been happening across the world this year, or in the past years, a couple of years. But I've definitely not acknowledged how, for example, Mrs. Soup's hospitalisation, Indy's diagnosis, and other bits and bobs really have exhausted me. Even this morning, to be honest, I was trying to find my wallet, which is, where is it? Oh no, I've lost my wallet again. Oh no, there it is. Okay, I was trying to find my wallet, and I was looking everywhere. I was tearing this office apart. I was looking where it normally lives. I was looking under furniture, over furniture, wobbling free. And it turned out that it was in the car. And I knew where it was in the car, actually, because I had lazily thrown it into the car. I had noted where it had bounced, and I was going to pick it up. But because I'm so tired, I just didn't think to pick it up. And therefore I forgot where it was. And therefore. And none of this is, I'm not complaining. I'm not just sort of going, oh, I'm tired. It's more a case of, I can't be the best me while I'm this exhausted. And part of getting out of this funk, I think, is acknowledging that I need structure to provide lily pads to step from one to the other, and also to fit in other projects around that structure. I need to, for example, I've started really seriously exercising, going to the gym and this kind of thing. It's been tempting, has it not, in the past year or so, to be within the house and be a bit like a vegetable, little dark potato in the soil sort of thing, watching the world go by. And while we definitely haven't given in to that, Mrs. Soup and I, we've achieved loads in this house over the past year or so. I think part of not feeling tired, ironically, is to do a bit more in the way of physical exertion, and also just to rediscover fun. I have fun up above the office window there to remind me, or to try and remind me, to have fun with Archaeosoup at all times. And sometimes I do slip into it being a chore, and it shouldn't be a chore. This thing is, I love archaeology, I love talking about this stuff, I love sharing it, but it's been it's been difficult, and it's also in particularly difficult when I've been imagining that there are all these negative voices. I've been imagining that there are people out there ready, and just to, well, as I say, parachute in and poop on the lawn. So hopefully all of this makes sense. I'm laying my cards out on the table because I want to be honest with you, and also give myself license to be honest with myself about how I can and how I need to move forward in the next year or so. And give myself the best chance to find that structure, to find that way of working that will be more regular, that will be a bit more fearless and a little bit more joyful than how I have been feeling. And I think it's been important to acknowledge that on my 11th birthday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support and for your comments and for your goodwill, and also for the wonderful community that surrounds Archaeosoup, especially in the Facebook page and on Twitter, and also here on the YouTube channel. It's such a pleasure, such an honor to have that community and to have that place where we can all talk about all sorts of different stuff. It's brilliant. And I just wanted to renew my intent on the 11th birthday. As we enter the 12th year, my intent is as strong as ever. I just need to maybe have a bubble bath and then come back into things as we proceed. So there you have it. Archaeosoup is 11 years old, and we should blow some bubbles one final time, I think, at least. Again, let's do it again. I can never quite have a final time. Okay, one more. Yeah, brilliant. The bubbles have been blown, and long may they rain down as Archaeosoup continues into the future. As I say, guys, thank you so much for your support, for watching, for sharing, for commenting, for engaging in the joy of exploring our common human story. And all I can say is, as ever, until next time, do take care. Bye-bye.
I've broken a sieve, I'm sorry to say it. It speared me. Yeah, as I broke it.
It wasn't particularly wet with it.
Oh, love.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don't have a pencil, do you?
In the drawing box.
Just get it out.
Okay.
Trying to make it